Hey, so recently on my TikTok I posted a video of me crocheting this kind of mesh top. I found the inspiration for it on Pinterest and some people were asking for tutorials, so I thought I would make one. It's really simple. It's literally just two pieces sewn together, so I'll show you how I made those. So I already crocheted my first side or piece of it. It's basically just a big rectangle, so it's really easy and you can make it however big you want. It's really customizable. I didn't follow a pattern, I just kind of looked at the picture and thought of the easiest way to make it, so this is how I did it. Okay, so to start my top, I've just chained a chain long enough to reach across my body from one of my arms to the other. I ended up doing 209 chains, and I'm using a 5mm hook and just like some cheap yarn that I bought off Shopee. So yeah, obviously you can use whatever yarn, whatever hook you want. Just make sure that your chain reaches across your body. And you also want to make sure that you chain an odd number just for the mesh stitch to work, otherwise you'll be left with a chain at the end. So once you finish your chain with an odd number, you're going to want to chain an extra 3. And then crochet in the 6th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to want to put a double crochet into that space. Once you have a double crochet in there, you're going to want to chain 1, skip a chain, and then double crochet into the next chain. Like that. And you just want to keep repeating that. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet until you reach the end of the chain. I've reached the end of my row, and to start my next one, I'm just going to chain 3. And then I'm going to turn and then double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, and then double crochet into the next one. And basically just repeat this mesh pattern all the way till the end of the row. So I realized that the black yarn is kind of hard to see what I'm doing, so I'm just going to show you the mesh stitch properly on this little random piece of green yarn that I have. So I've chained an odd number, I've chained 7, and now I'm going to chain an extra 3. And then I'm going to chain in the 6th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to put a double crochet in there. Just like that. And then I'm going to chain another 1, skip the next chain, and then put a double crochet in the chain afterwards. And then just repeat that. So you should have something like this. And then when you get to the end of the row, chain 3, turn your work, and then double crochet into the next double crochet in the previous row. So the chain 3 counts as a double crochet and a chain 1 space. And then just repeat that mesh pattern. And then when you get to the chain 3 from the previous row, you just want to double crochet into the 2nd chain. Like that. So that is just the mesh stitch, and that is what you do for the whole project. So this is the first piece that I crocheted, and you just want to keep doing rows of the mesh pattern until you reach the width you want your sleeve. So for my sleeve, this is I think 11 rows of the mesh stitch, and then obviously you have a second piece and you stitch them together, so this is kind of half of your sleeve. So just keep crocheting until you reach the width that you want. So I finished crocheting my 11 rows of the mesh stitch for my second piece, and for the first piece I added a few rows just about this big for the body, just so that it wasn't a rectangle. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted it to be a bit longer here. So to measure that out, I kind of just put it against my body like this and added some stitch markers here just to show how big I wanted it to be, and then I made sure that there were the same number of stitches on both sides of the sleeve so the sleeves were the same length. But yeah, I'm going to show you how I added that little body portion if you want to do this. If not, you can just skip this bit. Okay, so here's my second piece. I've just cast off and left a really long tail for stitching my pieces together. And then now we're going to move on to the body portion. I marked out with some stitch markers how big I wanted mine to be. I did mine 30 double crochets long, which makes my sleeves 37 double crochets long each side. So to start, I'm just going to attach my yarn here. Just like that, and then I'm going to repeat the mesh stitch, so chain one and then double crochet into the next one, and I'm just going to keep repeating the stitch until I get to my next stitch marker. Okay, so I'm nearly at the end of my row. I'm just going to do a final double crochet into this stitch here. And then we're just basically going to repeat what we did for the other rows, so chain 3. And then turn our work. And then just continue with the mesh stitch until the end of the row. Okay, so I finished crocheting that little section for the body piece. I only ended up doing 3 rows of the mesh stitch. You can obviously do however many you want, and so now we're just going to stitch both the pieces together. If you saw my tutorial for the flower top, then it's really similar. I just marked out how big I want my neckline to be, so I did mine about 4 stitches in from the body upwards, and then I'm just going to stitch along the sleeve with both sides up until I reach that stitch marker. So I've just threaded a really long piece of yarn through my needle, and now I'm going to stitch through. So I'm going to go through the second chain on this side, and then through the first double crochet on the other side, and then I'm going to go through the chain 1 spaces. Like that, and then I'm going to go through the double crochets, and I'm just going to keep doing this until I reach the stitch marker that I placed for my neckline. So I finished stitching both of my sleeves together, and now I'm just going to fold it over in half with the side that we stitched on the outside, and then I'm going to thread through my long piece of yarn and then just do the exact same stitch all the way along to the armpit and then down to the body. So I finished stitching my top together, and this is what it looks like. I still need to weave in the ends, but I'll do that later. I hope this tutorial was understandable. If you have any questions, then just comment and I'll try to respond. But yeah, if you want to know when I sell some of this stuff or post new tutorials, then you can follow my Instagram, and I mostly post stuff on my story there. So yeah.